Yutaka show. I teach architecture at School of Architecture at Syracuse University. And I also founded an architecture firm called GA Collaborative that works in Rwanda mostly.
My name is Stephen Mahan. I teach out of Transmedia, and I'm the director of a program called PAL Project, Photography and Literacy Project, where we work with different community members and students using digital media to enhance literacy. Okay, what this project, what I hope to do is what I try to do with all my projects, and that's basically just give voice to a part of the community that isn't necessarily brought into the conversation, and if they are, traditionally it's in a very small way. So hopefully giving voice to a part of the community that will definitely be impacted by any type of decision that is made with I-81.
Teaching, and certainly through the project that we do want to give voices to those who are usually unheard, but in a way, first we have to imagine working with people first. That has to come first, the imaginability of it, like, and creating the atmosphere and the mechanism that allow us to work together, and that first step is a lot of work. So I'm okay, or I understand if we can't get to the part where we can give voices, but I'm also interested in that process of getting to that point of working together and making that into a project too.
I have the luxury of being able to work with certain groups on a sustained basis, like from semester to semester and sometimes from year to year. So oftentimes, or not oftentimes, but in certain instances, those walls that are put up by individuals and groups tend to be more transparent.
So that mechanism is the university, in your case, and the case in Rwanda where we work, or maybe in the case of this project where we might have to reinvent that mechanism, because we are going to work with students. We want to.
Right.
We'll tell you about it. But also we are opening up to a larger audience. So this is the space currently underneath the I-81. It's long and narrow, continuous, and dark, uninhabited, scary, and it acts as a border between two or multiple neighborhoods, and it literally cut neighborhoods in half. So I think we want to occupy that border space and inhabit it, instead of using it as a border, making it into a magnet, so that the first idea is to do something with that space.
It's an example of a project that I did several years ago with students from the north side, where they're using, this particular project was the best part of me, where they're signifying or pointing out a body part and how it's important to them, how it allows them to express who they are and what's important to them. So our idea,
the idea came from that plus that, thinking that calling attention to people who have been severed by I-81 and bringing their body parts together in a way and creating millipedes. So imagine a bunch of legs and arms connecting with each other and creating a huge long monster. But this should be printed on.
yeah, we're thinking of, and of course the kids will be given the tools, and they'll be the ones that are making the photographs, they'll be the ones that are working with the software to put the whole piece together. But we want to print it on something transparent. What originally came to my mind was a fabric, almost like a Muslim. I was thinking of like prayer flag type of fabric, where you can see the image, but you can also see behind it. You can can see through it. But it also has, I didn't want a projected image because I wanted something that was tangible, but not like a billboard vinyl, not something that was overly heavy and too thick, but almost something that represents who they are and their voice, and something that's there but also not fully there, maybe.
And then there are the heads. So this is the body, and then we want the heads. Multiple heads, occasionally hanging or standing on stilts. And those heads would be also made by children that Stephen teaches. And perhaps multiple heads create one head. But then we think of this as a helmet, a giant helmet that you can go under and stick your head in, so that maybe 2 or 3 people can be in the heads together. And then we want to use audio to hear children's voices talking about whatever.
Exactly, and that's still organic, because what we will do is the kids that we're working with explain to them kind of the history of the project and different things, and then get their feedback on the whole idea of I-81, of urban restaurant, of communities being severed, individuals being separated, communities being deracinated because of, quote, progress. And so give these kids an idea of what this highway is and what it represents and the potential to change it, and just get their feedback, their words, and those will be the voices and the comments that will be heard inside. And I've been working in this community doing these types of projects maybe 10 years, but I originally started doing it in Buffalo in the early 90s. So.
I've been in Syracuse, teaching at Syracuse for 5 years. Most of my work has been in Rwanda or Uganda, Ghana, Burundi, and before that, Turkey and Lebanon. So it has been outside of the US, but I think I always try to be the interface between the outside of the US and the US, since I'm an immigrant myself. So I'm more useful as a connector than someone who can speak or represent a group of people. So I'm really excited about this project. It's probably the first one that I will do in Syracuse.
I am aware of it. I'm not sure how the work will address it, other than activating the space and making it a gathering point to amplify the discussion and conversation, and the results of putting that thing in there, what it's done to the community.
I'm not sure about you, but I don't really have a clear opinion about if it should stay or it should go. If we can activate the underneath, maybe it could stay. But then there's like a structural problem and stuff like that. If it has to go, then that's great too, because it's pretty ominous. But I think calling attention to it, and not just calling attention to it, but actually being there and making it useful or occupiable and interactive, that would make it better for the conversation that we want to have.
Conversation, other than just this bridge, is allowing people the mindset of having a voice in decisions that are made in their community, that they're not a part of that decision-making process, right? And I think the more people that are aware of not being given a voice into this decision-making process, the more people aware of it, the better, because then possibly the sooner it will change. Because it seems to me like because I'm working in the schools all the time, the people that are affected most by these decisions are the ones that are heard the least.
So this project should be neutral whatsoever. It should have a very strong position.
Absolutely, yeah.
We are collecting body parts, for Christ's sake. So it shouldn't be like, we don't care what happens here, but I didn't mean to make it sound like that, but rather here are people, here are voices that need to be heard, and here's our critique of this project, and the work needs to bring that forward and not be just kind of decorating and making it easier to be there.
Images and
Surface.
sound and surface and yeah.
And structure. So, yeah, we were brainstorming how it should be created, but I guess we shouldn't tell you guys that yet. But
Yeah, we have our ideas, but it's good
we
to
should.
but instead of voicing those, it's good to hear others,
Right.
other ideas, and
But
not taint them.
Yeah, but the kids need to be there. Old people might want to be there. Old people who got kicked out of this space when this was originally put in, and so maybe it could be a multi-generational project. So the images have to be there. It has to be physical. It has to have the voices of people who participated. It has to have space. I would like it to be something that you can be in or surrounded by. But other than that, I think
It's
it's
open.
open. Yeah.
We have a gallery downstairs, so we show in traditional gallery, but we've also had the work on city buses. We've had the work on billboards. It's been displayed at public spaces like City Hall, Syracuse Stage, and then it's also been out in the community where it's blown up and put on abandoned buildings in the kids' community that created the pieces themselves. So it's put out into their community. But I see this as being, this will definitely be the same but different, right? I mean, I don't know. It'll definitely be different. We haven't done a 9-headed hydra before, but it's similar in that it's work created by the community, displayed in the community, but it just happens to be under a politically hot topic right now. So.
We make houses with the survivors of the war in Rwanda, and one thing we try to do is to use houses, which is domestic and private and intimate, but those are the only spaces where people in Rwanda have in order to have open discussion, because public speech is not free there. So through what we do, we try to invert the publicness and privateness. Through making the private space, we are encouraging them to be open, at least among themselves. So what is interesting to me about this, especially that big helmet where people go in and hear private thoughts in public, being seen by the public, is related to that, where we share private thoughts and opinions with others, so that it becomes a part of the public discourse. And you can join in too. You can take that story and share it later. So that's very much overlapping. But I mean, certainly this belongs to nobody. I guess it's gonna belong to students, the kids. It's gonna belong to Syracuse. So in a way, we have to take ownership, and from the conversation that happens, we can start more of a private discussion about our public life.
Interesting also to have a space other than where they're just receiving these audio messages, a place to record their own like reflection or thought, or because obviously we're not going to be able to get in touch and work with everybody that this affects. So anybody that comes here that hasn't worked as a part of the project that we're doing, to become a part of the project by adding their voice to it.